I'm Rob Licuria, senior editor at Gold Derby here with Natasha Rothwell, who stars in The White Lotus. And you know what? She's also an Emmy nominee. Congratulations, Natasha, on your first Emmy
Thank
nominee.
you. Thank you so much. I'm still pitching myself.
So talk us through the morning when you found out.
I was asleep. I was just super excited to wake up and congratulate Jennifer, because I was just like, of course she's going to get nominated. But instead I woke up to my phone going off like crazy, and I couldn't process what I was seeing on the screen. It was just kind of me staring at it. And then I bursted in tears and immediately called my manager of 15 years, and we were crying together. It was really beautiful to be able to celebrate with her, and to see all of the White Lotus love too. It was just gobsmacked.
I know, like with all this horrible things that we're hearing in the world today, it's just lovely when I get to hear from people who have been nominated, particularly first-time nominees, because it's such a special moment that you'll never forget. And you will always, I mean, maybe later on you'll be known as something else, but for now you'll always be Emmy nominee Natasha Rothwell. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna make my parents refer to me as that.
I think you don't even answer unless someone says, "Excuse me, Emmy nominee Natasha Rothwell, would you mind passing the salt?"
There you go.
Yeah, you did just mention this, but you're nominated alongside colleagues Jennifer Coolidge, Connie Britton, Sydney Sweeney, and Alexandra Daddario. Almost the whole category, apart from two wonderful ladies from Dope Sick. So you've almost taken over the whole damn category, which is very unusual. So what were your reactions to the show being so overwhelmingly embraced by the Academy?
I mean, we truly had no idea. We shot this at peak pandemic, pre-vaccination, 2020. Like, it was scary just even going down to set. You know, it was just like we didn't know a lot then, and so. I think we were just excited to be working together and just working during that time. And so none of us had any idea what it would become. And I'm just so excited for all of us in the collective effort, because it really does speak to the power of, necessity being the mother of invention. We figured it out, right? We really did. And so it was awesome. And of course, the White Lotus the text chain blew up.
Wow.
And we were just like, just sending love to each other. So that was lovely.
It's beautiful. For all of us who really enjoyed the show, it was so gratifying to see it get 20 nominations. It's incredible. Honestly, this is the truth, Natasha. I know so many people who love the show, but really cared about Belinda. Like, she broke my heart. Like I really did. And looking back, when you were in production, I know it feels like probably 1,000 years ago now, but what was your way into understanding who she is and how you wanted to play her? Because for some reason, it was the character that most of us really cared about.
Well, first of all, that's so lovely. Thank you for saying that. It was a process that it started with conversations with Mike White before I even accepted the role. I mean, his writing is beautiful and exceptional, and reading it on the page, I understood who Belinda was, but just by virtue of being a woman of color, putting her on as a character, it changes the words on the page. And we had lots of conversations about who she is and who I believed her to be and who Mike saw her as. And we really connected as writers. We nerded out over the role a ton, and he was so wonderful, especially once boots were on the ground, once we were there on location, just continuing the conversation and really wanting to give her soul and give her grounding, and that she wasn't just a vehicle to tell someone else's story, that she had desires and feelings to be cared for as well. And so it was just really lovely to see her come to life and to see, the final result as well of just sort of like what ended up in the cut. And I'm just so grateful that people responded to her.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be so gratifying when you're playing a character and then you hear the feedback is so positive. There's just something about that character that I wish that you could go to Sicily and do the second season, but I don't think that's happening. She's stuck at the White Lotus. She's stuck there in Maui.
She is there, yeah.
As we know, because the series ends after everything that Belinda's been through, after everything that everyone's been through, and here she is again, like devastated, but arm goes up, smile goes on, and she waves for the next group of people to arrive. What did you think of that ending? I thought it was absolutely astonishingly devastating and brilliant.
I think so. I think that's exactly it. Astonishing and brilliant. I think to show the cyclical nature of what tourism does to a community, where you do have to put a smile on, and none of the baggage of the previous stay can go into the next round. And there really is this sort of sacrificial nature of the service industry, and especially when it's a tourist service industry. And so I think Mike got it exactly right, totally, just showing that here we go again. Really allowed, I think, audiences to connect to their own travel and vacation experiences in an interesting way.
Yeah. Like, I went to Fiji at Easter, and you arrive on the island, you get greeted, they sing you a song, they give you a drink, and they're lovely, and you have the best time, and then you leave, and then the next group turns up, and it starts all over again. And I just wonder now, I hear from everybody, when you go on a really nice vacation, we're all thinking about the White Lotus now. Is that going to happen to you?
I think it doesn't necessarily pop into my head. I think I when I travel and I vacation, I identify so much with the staff, honestly. So like there's that connection. I think what's been interesting is exactly what you're saying. I think a lot of people like I've seen on social media, people are just like, oh, my ex-boyfriend was a Shane, or like, they refer to themselves as just like, oh, I went to this, I vacationed in Tahiti and I behaved so much like, Tanya, and being embarrassed by that. And so I think it's super cool to see people identifying as characters for good or for worse.
Yeah. It's so true. I've complained about a room once, and I was like, oh my god, now I'm Jake Lacey's character. And then and there was moments where I was picking up my own dishes and putting, and the beautiful Fijian lady was like, Robert, you don't need to do that. That's my job. I'm like, oh god, the White Lotus has ruined me. Anyway, yeah. It's an amazing show. But also, I mean, to be more serious, what Mike does is he really opens our eyes to class and class structures and privilege and wealth in a really different way that I wasn't expecting. And I'm just wondering whether that discussion came up much on set, or was it already pretty much baked into the screenplay and you just played the characters?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that was already there in the screenplay for each episode, but I think, as I mentioned, I think just by virtue of having the casting done and being on set, there's the story on the page and the story that's told visually. And, the moments in which Belinda doesn't have a voice, and you can tell that there's so much that she wants to say but can't. And this subtlety of those moments, I think, really does allow the conversation to happen about class and privilege in terms of not just vacation travel, but just in the way we see the world and how we walk through the world and the things that we don't necessarily notice. And so I think what he was able to do with that was just amazing, because it is a conversation starter. I think outside of the comedy of people not wanting to identify with any of the sort of more villainous characters and everyone wants to be the Belinda in the circumstance, it really does force you to audit your own behavior and sort of what blind spots do you have. And I think the show asked more questions than it answered. And I think that it's important that those conversations continue.
Definitely. So you get to work with Jennifer Coolidge, and she's obviously a very well-known actor and beloved. And she recently recounted to the LA Times about how you both improvised on the boat about failed relationships, and that you made her laugh because you're an actor that can seduce you into thinking the scene's reality because you're not even on a set. I really love the way she characterized that. I'm wondering if you could tell us more about improvising with her and making Jennifer Coolidge laugh so much.
I mean, it was a dream come true to be able to play with her, having grown up watching her movies and game recognized game in the comedy world. So when someone can really improvise, there's a difference than sort of the more surface version of improvisation, and she really does go there. And so when I saw that spark on set, I was like, oh, we're gonna play. And Mike gave us the opportunity to do that, and it really was like comedy tennis. Like I felt like Venus and Serena, like it was just, I would say something and she would send it right back and we were just in the moment. And to make her laugh, I mean, come on, like that's an award in and of itself to get her to break. And yeah, I was just inspired by working with her.
I want to see all of that. I hope it's on some kind of like footage that we can see one day.
Yeah.
What's the highlight of working with Jennifer? A lot of your scenes are with her. The beauty is she's playing Tanya, who is desperately needy and almost like sucks the oxygen out of the room because it's all about her. And of course, Belinda is the opposite. She's empathetic, giving, open. And so like that combination can be extremely unhealthy for the person who is so open. And so as the actors playing her, what did she bring to the table that you most appreciated?
Her vulnerability. I mean, I think as someone who comes from comedy as well, to be able to be vulnerable in a dramatic sense is something that I was so in awe of. And I think that people might be surprised by her capacity to do it, but if you're a real comedy nerd, you know you can't be that funny without that kind of vulnerability. And so us in the comedy world, we know that that's there, but for her to be able to pull that back and really just bare her soul, I just felt responsible as a scene partner to take care of it and to be with her in each moment. So that way there was no point in her performance where she didn't have my eyes. I was always there, even the camera, the being off camera for her and acting along with her. Wow. It was so important for me to be there for her and make sure she felt supported. And so it was just a real, a team effort. It felt like I was in it with her, so I was excited to do that.
Yeah, a great example is this. So obviously many of us know you primarily from a lot of your other work, including Insecure, which I hopefully we'll have time to talk about because I can't let you go. It's one of my favorite shows. So the thing is though, like that scene in the finale, I know the finale is the episode that you've submitted for Emmy consideration. I can't get it out of my head. So like the camera's on your face, Belinda's broken. Tanya says, she's not going to help her. It's all about her. She gives her a huge wad of money and then you cry. Everything comes out and you just cry and cry and cry. And then, I mean, we were broken. And then of course, Jennifer has to come back in because she's forgotten her sunglasses. And so I'm laughing out loud with tears in my eyes. And that's all you two. So take us back to that scene, because it is just saying it now is making me feel really sad. Like it's just so perfect the way that you're able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long day of shooting that scene, and I know Mike wanted to get it just perfect because it's this fine line of how much is she going to let out in that moment because she is at work, and so there is still restraint even when she has that sort of catharsis of realizing that Tanya is not going to follow through. And the moment of her coming to get the sunglasses, that was all Jennifer. She was just like, she had left it on one of the tapes and came back and got it, and the crew cracked up, and I'm of course sobbing, and so I'm laughing through tears as well. And it made so much sense for that moment because it is that kind of sort of obtuseness that Tanya brought to the scene of just like not reading the room. And so it was just a really beautiful moment of being able to have that high comedy with the tragedy. And I think in that moment you see Belinda observe Tanya sort of completely disregard the emotions that she's showing for the first time. And then the phone rings and she has to, say, this is Belinda, this is the spa. And so that having to wear masks is so relatable, I think, especially as a person of color in this world, like the amount of masking that has to go on. You really see in that moment, the mask off and the mask going on. And so it was just, I feel so grateful for Mike, giving that moment to Belinda and to really sort of showcase that emotional duality.
Yeah. As a white, straight Aussie guy, it's really interesting to get that kind of insight. It's not something that I would necessarily be aware of. And to see that masking that you talk about is so fascinating to me, not only because you're a woman of color, but also you're working in a servile
Yeah.
your character. And that's stuff that hopefully people will take away from them after they've laughed and cried and enjoyed the show. They might actually remember that as they go through. And that's the beauty of art.
Yeah.
Speaking of the beauty of art, before we go, Insecure, it finished up its 5 seasons. What an incredible show. You got so much out of it because you were writing and directing. And of course, you played Kelly, who, I mean, I just love that bloody character. I wanted to do a spin-off for Kelly. She's often referred to as a scene stealer. And I just wonder how you feel about that characterization and that love for her.
I mean, it's overwhelming in the best possible way. I think when I started out with playing Kelly, I had no idea, and I don't think Issa had any idea how much that character would resonate with the audience. And to bring her to life, you know, in the writer's room and in front of the camera is just, and I mean, it's the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to craft something in that way and to see it received so well. As far as being a scene stealer, that is, it's wonderful to hear, but hopefully my co-stars don't feel like it was intentional. I think that, like, for me, it's just being authentic as Kelly. Kelly just doesn't give a fuck. Like, she is just 100% herself and authentic. And so I think that's what people sort of connect to. And it's sad that it's over, but I'm so glad that it exists in the world and that people can see it. And it will always be the show that changed my life.
Absolutely. And of course, like you really cut your teeth as a director. I was talking to Nina Erb, the amazing Emmy-winning editor from the show yesterday, and she kept talking about you and working with you and the baby being thrown out. And, you know, I'm still getting over that. Like, so, I mean, you're going to take those skills going forward in your career, right? I mean, that's an amazing opportunity for you.
Oh, 100%. Like, I was an opportunity of the lifetime. I couldn't say no. And I went to school for theater proper, and so I had directed in that capacity. And so it was great to translate those theatrical skills into the sort of cinematic universe. And Nina is just incredible. And, you know, when one is tasked to, I guess, a free throw of a baby, a fadeaway jump shot, she helped me bring that to life. And so it was just so cool to be in that position in sort of this senior year of my time on the show. It was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for your time today. Congrats on the Emmy nomination. We were so thrilled.
Thank you.
That's the one that I was hoping for. And have a really great time at Emmy night. Get the best outfit and enjoy the red carpet.
Well, thank you so much. Bye.